only 2 saves on the ball club. He has appeared in 30 innings, has an ERA of 3.42. Has struck out 24, walked only 7.
So there's John McCluskey, and his first pitch just misses on the outside corner for ball 1. He is facing Vic Vanek. He is the right fielder. He is batting .318 coming into this ball game. He'll be followed by Logan Collins and Jim Donovan. He swings at the second pitch, a fly ball into the infield, a second baseman calling for it, and he drops the ball. Oh, bad way for Glenbard West to start off, as
Ted Hartley.
Ted Hartley was underneath the ball, and the wind may have taken control of it, and he lost it, and it bobbled in and out of his glove, so Oak Park has a runner on first base and nobody out.
A very tricky wind. It's a swirling breeze, and we saw that Ted Hartley had a lot of trouble finding that ball in the air, kept drifting over to the first base side, and which went just in and out of his... Errors by the infield have hurt Glenbard West all year. They made 5 errors in a game recently against Hinsdale Central.
There's a toss back to first base. Collins is back there safely. The pitch in there for a strike. The Glenbard West lineup defensively is in left field is Mark Bertolo, McKay Smith in center, and Matt Evangelista in right field. Pitch. It's the outside corner for strike 2. The infield from third to first. Rick Conroy at third. Jim Elliott at short. Ted Hartley at second. And Mike Chakowski at first. And the battery, like we mentioned, McCluskey and Kurt Ostrowski behind the plate. The 1-2 pitch to Collins. He swings, fouls it back behind the screen. And Ostrowski there fell down as he tried to go back and get that pop foul, but went behind the screen.
Oak Park had the hit and run on that time. Vic Vanek was going with the pitch, but Logan Collins only was able to get a piece of the ball and fouled it out of play.
Ideal situation for the hit and run. You got your leadoff man at first, usually your fastest man on the club. You got a good contact hitter in Logan Collins, a left-handed batter, so when the base runner goes to second base, he might draw the second baseman or the shortstop out of position. 1-2 pitch. Collins takes downstairs for a ball, 2-2.
McCluskey throws with that sidearm delivery, and that fastball will tail away from a right-hander, but he's been moving it inside on Logan Collins.
Logan Collins leads the team in base hits with 14. Takes another pitch outside, so now the count is full at 3-2.
Well, we see McCluskey mixing up his pitches a bit. His fastball will move inside, and then he's been trying to nibble at the outside corner as well. Try to hit him to the shortstop side of the infield, maybe get a double play here.
The 3-2 pitch, Collins protects the plate and fouls it off behind the screen. Oak Park is at somewhat of a disadvantage. Their ace pitcher, Jason Klanowski, who you may recall quarterbacked their football team to the West Bourbon Conference, is out with an injury. He pulled some knee ligaments in his leg in a game last week, but he should be expected to be back in action next week. So he's not in the starting lineup. There's a toss back to first base. Vanek is back there safely.
Well, in that game, Klanowski was the winner. It was against Downers Grove North, and the Downers fans were getting on Klanowski, and he just ran a little extra hard down to first, jammed his knee.
There's a swing, a fly ball into right field. Right fielder going back. Evangelista is not going to get this one, and Vanek is going to round third base, and he's going to be sent down home. The throw back into the infield is kind of wide, and Collins is going to wind up at third base with a head first slide. So Oak Park jumps on top 1-0.
Logan Collins, as you said, is a contact hitter, and he just ripped that ball, a line shot right over the head of Matt Evangelista. And Collins just kept running, and he legged it in all the way to third base with a triple.
So the first 2 batters have reached base against McCluskey, and now the third man in the lineup, Jim Donovan, who's batting .385, the leading hitter of the ball club. Donovan, a letterman from last year, played for the Oak Park Huskies, and he was involved in a controversial play in the semifinals of the state tournament. There's a pitch down the middle for a strike. Donovan, a little guy, at 5'7", 155 pounds, but he has a lot of power. Has 19 RBIs to lead the team. has hit 2 home runs and has hit 3 triples. Pitch is way outside. Ostrowski had to go off his perch to snare that pitch. Count is even at 1-1.
Well, that error to lead off the ball game has really come back to haunt Glenbard West, as even though it is an unearned run, it's the first run of the ball game. Counts on the scoreboard, but it won't go against McCluskey's earned run average.
Donovan swings, he pops it up in short left field. Martello coming over. He has a beam on, and he has it. And Collins fakes tagging up at third base, and he retreats back to third base safely.
Had he gone to the plate, he would have been nailed.
The wind sort of held up that fly ball as Martello came in. He was about maybe 2 feet away from the infield dirt. And there was no way Logan Collins was going to be a throw, whether it was high or outside to the plate, as there was plenty of time to get Collins. So Collins is now at third base with only 1 out, and it will bring up the cleanup hitter, Dave Thies. Thies, playing catcher, is batting at .409. So McCluskey, struggling here in the first inning, pitches high upstairs for a ball. But if he could get away with only 1 run, it might give a spark to the Hilltoppers.
To leave a man stranded on third, especially against Oak Park, known for their good pitching.
There's a swing, a ground ball through between the second baseman and first baseman. Collins going to come in to score. And Oak Park has a 2-0 lead with only 1 out in the first inning and an RBI single by Dave Thies.
Well, Oak Park getting a 2-run lead here in the first inning, and you know that's going to make Eric Hopp, their starting pitcher, a little bit stronger.
Hopp is only a junior, and he's undefeated at 4-0. Has an ERA of 1.20. We'll tell you more about him when he faces the mound, but right now, the situation on hand is Glenbard West getting out of this inning as Oak Park has jumped on top 2-0 with only 1 out and the man on first. And the batter is Brenham Keith, sophomore second baseman, batting .300. So McCluskey keeping an eye on Thies over at first base. First pitch to Keith. He swings for a base hit into center field. And Thies will hold up at second base, so now Oak Park with runners at first and second and only 1 out. A lot of coaches consider this Oak Park Ball Club is considered a dream team. You name it, they have it. They have solid pitching, good hitting, and solid defense. And the thing that's credited about their pitching is that usually all ball clubs have about 2 good pitchers, but Oak Park could go down the line with about 5 good starting pitchers. Here's Dave O'Connell, the shortstop. He's batting .386. He swings and misses for strike 1.
Another good thing about Oak Park is that most of their infield are all underclassmen. Sophomores, juniors. They're not going to be graduating.
There's a pitch outside for a ball. The only
their first baseman, Klonowski, who's not playing today, is the only...
That's what I wanted to mention. And it's kind of surprising on Oak Park as there's a pitch down low for a ball. As Jack Kaiser is in his 26th year coaching Oak Park. As of lately, maybe it's the been in the game for a while, has mellowed out. Very rarely did he used to go with underclassmen in the starting lineup. He went with seniors no matter how good the underclassmen were. There's a pitch down the middle for a strike. So maybe in his later years in the twilight of his coaching career, he figures give the younger kids a chance if they're hungry and eager enough to play good baseball.
Well, and also
he has done that so far and has got him a state championship back in '81.
And also, when you play them as underclassmen, they're going to come back and be that much better as seniors, building for the future.
Here's the pitch to O'Connor. He swings and the fly ball into right field. Evangelista in foul territory. Now the ball drifts over to the out of play area. So whether Evangelista was under it and snared it will not be recorded as an out, as the ball was considered out of play. So Evangelista getting a lot of work out there in right field, having a lot of havoc with the wind. So the count is now at 1-2. Dave O'Connell, Dave Thies at second base, Brenham Keith at first. We're in the top half of the first inning, in case you just joined us. Oak Park leads 2-0. As the leadoff batter of the inning reached down an arrow, and then Logan Collins tripled him home. The pitch, and O'Connell goes fishing for a pitch outside, and he strikes out, so now there's 2 outs. And it'll bring up John Giannetti, the first baseman. Giannetti, who's batting .105, is like the Oak Park's number 4 pitcher. does not get a lot of playing time, but he's playing today for the injured Jason Kronowski. Takes the pitch down the middle for strike one.
Well, Jeanette pitched in that ball game, that non-conference game recently. We'll give you the record on him as a pitcher.
He swings and he pops up towards the third base side. Elliott coming over, and that ball's going to drift out of play.
Jeanette is 3-0 as a pitcher on the year, and he was the winner in the game last Saturday, the 27th, against Maine South. It was a 3-2 game. Oak Park has been playing at a lot of one-run ball games this year. Their only loss was 3-2, a one-run loss to Evanston. They came back to win the nightcap 11-10. They've been playing a lot of close games, but that's the mark of a good team, that you'll win those close ones.
That's very true, and that's why they have a good record at 17-1. The 2-2 count. John Jeanette, he takes a pitch inside for a ball.
Well, McCluskey, even though he's given up 2 runs, it doesn't look like he's lost his composure. Still challenging with that fastball.
Runners on first and second, 2 outs. The pitch to Jeanette. He swings and misses for strike 3. So McCluskey, after having the 4 of the first 5 batters reaching base, comes up with 2 strikeouts to finish the inning. So in the inning, there was 2 runs on 3 hits, 2 men left, and 1 error. So at the end of a half inning of play, it's Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing.
Well, we saw John McCluskey show some mental toughness out there. As you said, 4 of the first 5 men reached base. 1 of the leadoff man on an error by the shortstop, and that, of course, probably would have rattled many pitchers. But Don Burns said that he wanted to use his most experienced pitcher in there because he knew that even though Oak Park may score in the first inning or early in the game, McCluskey is not the type to get rattled easily. He's used to pressure situations. They've been using him a lot in relief when the game is on the line. And we saw McCluskey come back after giving up those 2 runs and strike out the last 2 hitters that he faced.
Here's the book on Eric Hopp, as you see him warming up on the mound. He has appeared in 5 games, has a 4-0 record, has pitched 23 and a third inning, has struck out 14, walked 9, given up 11, and check that, 4 earned runs, and has an ERA of 1.20.
In his last appearance, Hopp threw a 3-hitter to beat Proviso East. That was on Friday the 26th in a league game. Oak Park only got 2 hits in that ball game, and all 5 of their runs were unearned. They won 5-2.
Oak Park defensively looks this way. Vic Vanek in right, Tim Boz in center field, Logan Collins in left. The infield third to first is Donovan, O'Connell, Keefe, and John Giannetti, and the battery of Dave Thieves behind the plate and Eric Hopp on the mound. Glenbard West will have Ted Hartley leading off, playing second base, Matt Evangelista playing right field, batting second, McKay Smith batting third, Kurt Ostrowski batting fourth, Mike Chakowski batting fifth, Mark Metello batting sixth, Andre Daunig, the designated hitter for the pitcher John McCluskey, batting 7th. Jim Elliott, the shortstop, batting 8th. And Rick Conroy, the third baseman, batting 9th. So stepping in there in the batter's box is Ted Hartley, who comes into the ballgame batting .364. So the first pitch from Eric Hopp was a straight fastball down the middle for strike 1. Hopp, 6 feet, 168-pound junior. Off-speed pitch, a ground ball to second base. Keefe up with a toss over to first base, and Hartley is retired on the 4-3 putout. So 2 pitches and 1 out, and that's what a lot of coaches like to see. Have the pitcher get out that first inning with as few pitches as possible.
Hartley made good contact on that, but he just hit that 1 hopper right out to the second baseman, Keefe.
Sort of a lob-in pitch by Hopp. It seems to have taken something off. But here's Matt Evangelista, who's batting .340, the right fielder. Left-handed batter against the right-handed pitching of Eric Hopp, takes the pitch outside for ball 1.
Evangelista hitting .340 on the year, but hitting .300 in the conference season.
Evangelista swings a ground ball past the glove of Keefe, and the ball will go out in right field. So Evangelista is on with a base hit. So Glenbard West starting off a rally with a runner on first base, 1 out, and bring up the third man in the lineup, McKay Smith, the center fielder who's batting .346.
Well, Glenbard West is a good hitting team. They have a lot of hitters who will make contact. As a team, they're batting .297 on the year, and we saw the first 2 batters hit the ball sharply to the right side of the infield, and this last one was hit by Evangelista.
A couple weeks ago, Dave, we did the game between Glenbard West and Proviso West, and they jumped on top of the Panthers with a 9-0 lead.
That was a slugfest.
First pitch from Hop just misses the outside corner. Well, the Glenbard West football team is, even though the school's nickname is the Hilltoppers, the football team calls themselves the Hitters. So if that resorts over to their baseball team, they're in pretty good shape. There's a pitch down the middle for a strike.
The University of Georgia has a scout out here looking at McKay Smith today.
And more than likely, he's looking at a couple other Oak Park players, too.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
There's a throw over to first base as Evangelista's back there safely. McKay Smith in the batter's box, 1-1 count. Speaking of football, on deck is Kurt Ostrowski to find blocking back for the Hilltoppers. And McKay Smith swings and fouls it off. The count is now at 1-2.
McKay Smith is probably the best base runner on this ball club, and in a recent game, that Proviso West game you mentioned on the 19th of April, McKay Smith stole 4 bases in that ball game. He has 6 hits in his last 11 at-bats, and has driven in 3 runs over the last couple ball games.
2-1 pitch. He swings a chopper back to the mound underneath the glove of Hop, and then O'Connor, as he tried to glove that ball, bobbles it, and the runner will be safe at second base.
Well, O'Connell was looking to make the double play. He was looking at Brennan Keefe as Keefe, the second baseman, who went over to cover the bag. O'Connell took his eye off the ball and was trying to make the toss over to get the double play before he really had possession of it, and he bobbled it for the error.
Well, it was a slow ground ball to Eric Hop, and Hop tried to flag it down. It just escaped underneath his glove. And I think that may have slowed up O'Connell. So O'Connell was left charging in the ball, and maybe being off balance, not getting a good jump on that ground ball, bobbled the ball. So now Glenbard West has runners on first and second, 1 out, and Kurt Ostrowski at the plate. And an off-speed pitch is high upstairs for ball 1.
Ostrowski was hitless in his first 4 conference games, but he has singles in the last 2 games.
He swings, fouls it off and back to the screen. The count is now even at 1-1.
He was the team's best hitter going into the season, but suddenly he hit a slump, and it's going to be good news for Glenbard West if he continues his hot hitting now and breaks out of that slump for good.
Well, he's batting .386 coming into the ball game. So a very impressive batting average.
That's for sure. Most of that, though, was in the non-conference play, but they're looking for him to come through with a big bat.
From Hop, it's high upstairs for a ball. So Glenbard West with runners on first and second, 1 out, bottom half of the first inning. The Hilltoppers trail by 2 to Oak Park. Hop from the stretch. The pitch, and Ostrowski swings, pops it up in the infield, coming over by the first base side. By the Oak Park dugout, goes out of play. So Ostrowski is left alive at the plate.
Now, that was a big break for Glenbard West because they've got a man in scoring position now with only 1 out, and Ostrowski is the team leader in RBIs with 23.
Evangelista at second. McKay Smith at first. Will reach base with back-to-back singles. Ostrowski stands in the plate. Pitch from Eric out, takes a look at second. A lob-in pitch, and Ostrowski pops it up towards the Oak Park bench again. Janetti coming over, but the ball lands just behind the Oak Park dugout for another foul ball.
Well, Ostrowski is coming a little bit late with his swing, and he's popping it up to the opposite side, and well, that's a good indication, too, that Hop's breaking ball is effective because it's throwing Ostrowski off balance.
Well, if you notice the way it's coming in, it's like one of those pitching machines you see at some of these amusement parks. It starts off way high, and it doesn't even drop, so it's handcuffing the batters because they're swinging from their shoulders rather than swinging from their wheelhouse. 2 strikes on Ostrowski to pitch inside for a ball. So the count is now full at 3-2. So Eric Hop has to bear down. Likewise, Kurt Ostrowski, runners at first and second, one out, bottom half of the first inning. Oak Park leads 2-0. The 3-2 pitch. Ostrowski swings a chopper in front of the mound, in front of third base. Donovan up with it, tosses over to first base. So 2 outs. And the runners, Evangelista and McKay Smith, advance 1 base. So Evangelista is at third base and McKay Smith at second.
Well, they've got 2 runners in scoring position, the potential tying run at second base. And Mike Chitkowski, a 300 hitter.
Chitkowski playing first base. Like you mentioned, batting 300, has runners in scoring position. Very important for Glenbard West to get at least a run out of this.
He could tie the game here with a hit with 2 outs.
First pitch to Ostrowski is high outside for a ball. So Chitkowski needs to come through for the Hilltoppers. They're only in the first inning, but when you're playing against a team like Oak Park that's ranked #1 in the state, there's a pitch fouled off. And leading your conference is very important to not let them, not to let you play catch-up. They lead 2-0.
McKay Smith taking a very healthy lead off second base.
There's a ground ball to Donovan at third. He's up with the long throw over to first base, and Glenbard West is retired here in the first inning when they had a good opportunity to get some run across the board, but they came up short. So in the inning, there was no runs on 2 hits and 2 men left. So at the end of 1 inning of play, it's Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing. We'll take time out on your Group W cable sports station.
Sports Vision's got the White Sox, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Sting. And now the best ticket in town has a new low price. Sports Vision's got live exclusive games both on the road and at home. Games you can't see anywhere else. Don't miss any of the action of your favorite teams. Sign up today. Sports Vision, the best ticket in town.
Mike Constantine along with Dave Newman back here at Lambert Field, home of the Glenbard West Hilltoppers baseball team. And there's a look at the Hilltoppers bench as they trail Oak Park by the score of 2-0. I mentioned at the closing of the inning that Glenbard West had 2 hits, make that only 1 hit, as we recall Dave O'Connell, the shortstop for Oak Park, bobbled that baseball that was hit by McKay Smith. So Glenbard West, after 1 inning of play, has no runs on 1 hit. 2 men left, and they have committed 1 error. Likewise, Oak Park, after 1 inning of play, has 2 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 men left on the bases. So we move to the top half of the second inning. It's John McCluskey on the mound. Trailing by 2 runs, will face the 8th, 9th, and 1 batters in Jack Kaiser's lineup. First pitch, off-speed breaking pitch, good for strike 1 as he got Eric Hopp off balance. He went swinging after a pitch outside. Hopp batting at .667. He swings a fly ball to left field. Martello coming over down the foul line, but just reaches out of his glove. The ball is foul. It's a good chase by Mark Martello. Only a fly ball by Eric Hopp, and whenever an outfield, I say, gets a stride within the balls, I think it's an achievement the way the wind is blowing the ball around.
That wind is very tricky. It's hard to tell if it's really kind of a swirling wind. At times it seems to be blowing in, at times it seems to be blowing out. It's a very tricky place to play baseball, especially if you're an outfielder.
The 0-2 pitch to Eric Hopp. Off-speed breaking pitch is fouled off behind the screen.
He's thrown 3 straight breaking balls to the pitcher Eric Hopp. McCluskey was very effective with his fastball in the first inning struck out the last 2 men he faced. But now he's changing speeds on the Oak Park pitcher, Eric Hopp.
Well, it's very important for him to get the bottom half of the order out here in the second inning. Hopp takes the pitch low downstairs for a ball, 1-2. Eric Hopp, the 8th man in the lineup. And McCluskey's job is to make sure the 8th and 9th man doesn't get on for the top of the order to come through. Off-speed curveball is in there for strike 3. Eric Hopp goes down swinging. So that's the 3rd strikeout recorded by McCluskey, the 3rd strikeout in a row. And we'll have Tim Bause, the center fielder, up coming in, batting at .313.
Well, McCluskey looks like he's got his rhythm down right now. He has struck out 3 in a row. And even though he's trailing 2-0, you can just tell by the way he carries himself, he's still got his concentration.
There's a pitch from the side for strike one. And Dave, you mentioned the way he finished out the first inning was with the fastball. Here was the curveball that got Eric Kopp. So now that gives him confidence. He could go to 2 pitches, either the curveball or the fastball to get the strikeout. Curveball again from the side just misses outside for ball 1. Count is now even.
He really wanted that call. He shook his head. He thought that was a very close call. Just missed the corner.
The 1-1 pitch, Tim Boss swings the fly ball into right field. Evangelista has a beam on it. He's under it, and he pulls it in for the second out of the inning.
Well, you could see what the wind did on that fly ball, too. Evangelista was standing in place, and suddenly he had to shift over and move to his left and in a bit because the wind started to carry the ball away from him. That's what happened on the first play of the game to the second baseman, Ted Hartley.
So far, McCluskey has done the job. He got the 8th and 9th man in the lineup out. So now we move to the top of the order, and Vic Vanek, who reached down an error by the second baseman, Ted Hartley, as Hartley bobbled a pop-up, and Hartley was able to shake it off as Vanek came around to score on Logan Collins' triple, and Collins came in on a base hit by Dave Days for Oak Park's 2 runs in the first inning. We're in the top half of the second, 2 outs. Big Vanek, the leadoff man in the Oak Park lineup, takes a pitch outside for a ball.
McCluskey would really like to get this man out because then you would have Logan Collins coming up with nobody on base to lead off the next inning.
Vanek batting .318 coming into the ballgame, takes a pitch in there for a strike. The count is now even at 2-2. Glenbard Field, well, there's no dimensions in the outfield as there isn't an outfield fence. So if the ball gets past the outfielders, the base runner is going to run all day. Sometimes the outfielders end up running all day to chase the fly ball. The 2-2 pitch outside for a ball, and count is now even at 3-2.
Another thing about Lambert Field is that it is wide open. There is nothing really to block the wind, and consequently, on virtually any given day of the week, you're going to have gusty winds and swirling winds.
The 3-2 pitch. Vanek swings a fly ball into right field. Evangelista is under it, and he gloves it to retire Oak Park here in the second inning. So a 1-2-3 inning for McCluskey and the Hilltoppers. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. At the end of an inning and a half of play, it's still Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing.
John McCluskey is really breezing along here after a bit of a shaky first start when Oak Park rallied for 2 runs in the first inning. McCluskey has retired the last 5 men he's faced. He mowed down the side in order in the second, struck out the last 2 men he faced in the first.
And there's a look at the crowd on a nice sunny blue sky day, but the only disadvantage is this wind. It's blowing at around 20 miles an hour. There's a look at the Oak Park Huskies bench. And there's a look at Eric Kopp, who has a record of 4-0, junior pitcher. And Kaiser was mentioning to me a couple weeks ago that because they finished 4th in the state last year, he has Jason Klanowski and Scott Nelson were 2 of his top pitchers last year, and they're back this year. So naturally, Oak Park's going to be tough with Klanowski or Nelson pitching. But his most important thing is his second line of pitching, like John Giannetti, Eric Kopp, and Brenham Keith, see if they're able to do the job. You know, because when you go down in the state tournament, you need 3 pitchers. So it will be Mark Metello, Andy Dahlrand, and Jim Elliott, the 6, 7, 8 batters in Don Burns' lineup. Takes the first pitch outside for a ball. As back in '81, when Oak Park won the state championship, it was their number 3 pitcher that pitched the championship game. There's a pitch down the middle for a strike. Count is even at 1-1. Metello coming in, batting at .373. Pitch high upstairs for a ball, 2-1.
Eric Kopp is a junior, and you know that next year he is going to be the anchor of this Oak Park pitching staff. They've got a good-looking sophomore, Ben Shelton, who they called up when Klanowski was hurt. He'll be there next year.
Off-speed breaking pitch is high, and Metello fouls it off down the first baseline. So it's now 2-2 to Mark Mettello. Oak Park playing at normal depth in the field. Southfield is playing straight away. 2-2 pitch. Outside for a ball, and the count is now full at 3-2.
Martello's been on a hot streak lately. He got the game-winning RBI against Proviso West in a recent ball game. Had 3 RBIs early in the season against Fenwick. A good clutch hitter.
So Martello's trying to get on base. The 3-2 pitch from Hop. Martello swings a fly ball. It's going to be foul along the right field line. It's going to drift out of play. So Martello stays alive. Don Burns says his strength is the hitting. So he doesn't have 3 pitchers he could go to, maybe 2. And we know at least one in McCluskey. So if his hitters could come around with the bats, will put a lot of pressure off their pitchers. The 3-2 pitch, and Martello swings a fly ball into right field. Coming over the line is the second baseman, Brenham Keith, and he gloves the ball while falling down for the first out of the inning. So a fine play by the second baseman, Brenham Keith, who dove for that foul ball.
Well, the wind played some tricks on it. It kept blowing it farther toward the right side, away from the charging Brennan Keefe, but he hung with it, and he dived and reached out and made the catch, and the important thing is he held on to the ball after tumbling to the ground.
Here's Andy Dahlrand, the designated hitter for the pitcher McCluskey. He comes in batting at 240. Eric Hawks pitch is way upstairs for a ball.
Durant has had a very slow start to the season and was scheduled in fact, he started in left field early in the year, and then they had to put him on the bench, but lately he's been coming around. I'll tell you more in a minute.
Pitch just gets the outside corner for a strike. The count is even at 1-1.
In a game last week against LaGrange, he got the game-winning RBI. It was a 2-run triple against LaGrange to break that game wide open.
The 1-1 pitch, and Dahlrand fouls it off behind the screen. The count is now at 1-2. Probably if you ask Eric Hopp right now how well he's pitching, I don't think he's too pleased with himself, as his curveball is way upstairs. I mean, if he keeps staying up there, any good hitter is going to time it and probably going to put it out of here. 1-2 pitch, and Dahlrand swings for strike 3. So there was a pitch low downstairs, and that's where Hopp wanted to get it, and records his first strikeout of the game. And we'll bring up the 8th man in the lineup, Jim Elliott. Elliott coming into the ballgame batting at 184, and Dave down Bird's bench too early in the ballgame. Elliott just in the slump that he hopefully will snap out of it, and he's sticking with him because he's only a sophomore. You don't want to break his confidence.
That's right. He's been struggling lately, but oh, that was a swing and a miss.
Elliott swings and misses for strike 1.
Burns has been having a revolving door at shortstop, trying to find the right combination to solidify that infield. He's decided to go with the youngster Elliott, a sophomore, as you mentioned.
Pitch outside for a ball. Well, it seems like Hopp has got his pitches down low. Now his main thing now is just to get placement in the strike zone. 1-1 to count. Oak Park leads 2-0. The pitch just misses outside for a ball. 2-2 to count.
He went with a very slow off-speed curveball. As you said, he's mixing up his pitches, throwing low fastballs and then trying to throw off their timing, throwing an occasional curve.
Doesn't seem like he has a hard-breaking fastball. He relies on control and location. The 2-2 pitch just misses outside. Check that. The count is now at 2-2. Oak Park leads 2-0. We're in the bottom half of the second inning. 2 outs. Glenbard West being the home team. The 2-2 pitch is high upstairs for a full count. 3-2.
I like the Glenbard West uniforms. They remind me of the Oakland A's, the green and gold and white. Oak Park in the navy blue with the orange trim.
3-2 pitch. Outside and hits the outside corner for strike 3. So Glenbard West goes down 1-2-3 here in the second inning, and Eric Hopp records 2 strikeouts. So in the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on the bases. At the end of 2 innings of play, it's still the Oak Park Huskies 2, Glenbard West nothing, and we'll take time out on your Group W cable sports station.
Hi, I'm Keith Moreland, outfielder for the Chicago Cubs. Sometimes our team wins, sometimes we lose, but it always feels better to win. But there's a team that you can join that always wins. The United Blood Services team of volunteer blood donors, a team that saves lives. To join, all you have to do is give a unit of blood. So do the right thing, give blood. Do it the right way. Join the United Blood Services team of winners. Call them at 751-1701. Thank you.
Mike Constantino, Dave Newman back here at Glenbard Field, where after 2 innings of play, it's Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing. Oak Park rated #1 in the state of Illinois and in the Chicagoland area. They come in with a 6-0 conference record, 17-1 on the year. Glenbard West coming in this ball game, 3-3 in the conference, 12-6, and ready to bring you the next 3 innings of play is my colleague Dave Newman.
Well, thank you, Mike. Leading off here in the top of the third will be the #2 man in the lineup, Logan Collins, the left fielder for Oak Park. He tripled to drive in the first run of the ball game in the first inning, and he later scored on an RBI single by the catcher Dave Thies. There you get a good look at John McCluskey, the pitcher for Glenbard West. Here's the first pitch to Logan Collins. There's a deep drive to left field. Going back for it is Evangelista. He's got a beat on it, and he falls to his knees, but he makes the grab. Well, Logan Collins gave that one a good ride, and the last time that he hit it out to right field, it was that line drive triple over the head of Evangelista. This time he popped it up a little higher in the air, and the right fielder was able to hang in there and make the catch.
I think maybe Evangelista adjusted himself out there in right field, knowing Logan Collins drove the ball over his head the last time up. He may have taken about 5 steps back, so if he drives it again, at least he'll have the ball in front of him and not let it go over his head.
So here's Jim Donovan, the third baseman. There's a little chopper to the shortstop, and up with it and throwing in time for the out is Elliott. So a quick 1-2 inning so far for John McCluskey as he got Donovan to swing at the first pitch and ground out.
Give credit to Elliott, as he knew that McCluskey was going to feed Donovan with a curveball right at the start, and Elliott moved over to second base, and he was in perfect position to glove that ground ball by Donovan. So those are the little things that win, as Elliott picked up the single from the catcher, knew it was going to be a curveball, and he moved over to the position where Donovan would hit the ball.
Here's Dave Thies, the catcher. He lifts one out to right field, drifting in foul territory, and a diving catch by Matt Evangelista. What a great grab. He hung in there. The wind was blowing the ball foul, but Evangelista kept chasing after it and lunged out at the last moment. It made a diving shoestring catch for the third out. So it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Glenbard West. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the bottom half of the third, and it's still Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing.
Well, Glenbard West getting Oak Park 1-2-3 in the third inning. And a very snappy third inning, as maybe over in the right field foul area, beyond the first base. Maybe they should put center stage, as so far today we have seen 2 great catches, one by the second baseman, Brenham Keith, diving for a foul ball and gloving it, and the one right here by Matt Evangelista, making a diving stop on a foul ball to retire Oak Park in the third inning.
Well, both of these pitchers seem to be cruising right now. They've retired. McCluskey's retired the side in order the last 2 innings, and Eric Hopp retired the side in the bottom of the second, and he'll be facing Glenbard West here in the third.
Well, our broadcasting table is right behind home plate, up on the hill. So we're having the same view as you see our cameraman having right now on your screen. And it seems that the wind is blowing in our faces. We are really feeling the gust of the wind now, and I think that the advantage is to the pitcher, because the pitcher is facing the opposite way that we are facing, so his face is not in the gust of the wind, and I think the batters are having problems with the wind because it's blowing right in their faces.
And two, it's going to hurt the right-handed hitters because the wind will be blowing in from center, blowing in from left, and it'll be carrying the ball over toward the right field foul line. And that's going to, we've seen it give a lot of trouble to the right fielders on both teams. So leading off here in the bottom of the third is Rick Conroy, the third baseman, hitting .222 on the year. This will be his first at bat of the day. The number 9 man in Don Burns' lineup for Glenbard West. And now we see the catcher, Dave Thies, moving his right fielder over toward the line. They're playing Conroy a little shallow in right, and now they're They had been playing him toward left field, and now all the outfielders playing straight away. The infielders playing him deep. There's a high chopper to the third baseman. Jim Donovan up with it. The throw to first is in time for the out.
So Conroy, being a right-handed batter, had a stance that looked like it was going to go to the opposite field and right. And when the way the wind has been blowing the ball over in the right field foul area, catcher Dave Thies wanted to move Vic Vanek, the right fielder, over. He wouldn't have to run too hard to chase a fly ball in right field.
So that'll bring up the top of the order for Glenbard West. Ted Hartley, the second baseman, comes up. Grounded out in the first inning. Here's the pitch by Eric Hopp. Curveball missing outside for ball one.
Hopp's curveball is breaking very well.
Seems to
like rolling off the table. The only thing is just trying to get in that strike zone.
Seems to be using it a lot on the outside part of the plate. There's the pitch. That one misses outside.
Straight fastball down the middle. Hopp's curveball starts out very high, and I think if there's any problem that he's going to have with that curveball, if it ever hangs, they're going to see a good hitting team just wail away at it.
There's the pitch. That one hits the low outside corner for a strike. So as you say, he's trying to nibble at the corners and trying to get location. His record on the year is 4-0, so he has not been hit very hard yet. But every pitcher is due for a bad day now and then. There's a swing and a miss on an inside pitch. Well, he was going for the outside corner on the first three, and then he adjusted a bit and threw a fastball inside on the fist of Hartley, who swung at it.
And if you're watching the screen, you saw Ted Hartley shook his head like, wow, what a pitch.
He blew that one past him. There you see Eric Hopp. Now we have time called as the batter steps out. Hopp is ready. Witch down, gets the sign from catcher Dave Thies. Here's the pitch. There's a swing and a drive into right center field, and now backpedaling and making the catch is Vic Vanek. He had started in, and then he moved over towards center, and then at the last minute began backpedaling as the wind was playing havoc on that ball, but Vanek was in position to make the catch.
Here's Manny Evangelista. Both him, Vanek, Keefe, really been the stars of the ball game with their defensive plays out in right field or the right field foul territory. Evangelista ended the third inning with a diving catch in the right field foul area.
Evangelista singled back in the first, but was left stranded. So here he is facing Eric Hopp for the second time today. 2 outs here in the third. Takes the first pitch outside for ball one.
Glenbard West had a golden opportunity to get back at Oak Park, who they trailed by 2 runs. They had runners on second and third, 2 outs, but unable to get them across the plate.
There's a called strike. That one just hit at the outside corner at the knees.
What hurt the most, Dave, was that they had runners on first and second and 1 out, and the number 4 cleanup hitter grounded out at third, and their number 5 hitter was unable to bring them home.
There's a shot to left field, just past the glove of the shortstop for a base hit. So Matt Evangelista, 2 for 2 on the day, as he singles sharply to left field. So with 2 outs, Glenbard West has a base runner, and that brings up McKay Smith, their center fielder. He reached on an error by the shortstop the last time up, and that was what put the 2 men on base, as you were just talking about. But they were unable to score any runs in that first inning, despite having men on second and third with 2 gone. Smith coming into today's action, hitting .346 on the year. Evangelista taking a healthy lead off first. Here's the pitch. Misses outside for a ball. He's only the 3rd base runner of the ball game for Oak Park, or rather for Glenbard West. Taking a very decent lead. There's the throw to first. Diving in safely is Evangelista. Well, you knew that when he takes such a big lead off that Eric Hopp was going to throw to first eventually, and we saw him do that there.
Hopp coming in the ball game had 14 strikeouts, only giving up 9 walks.
There's a pitch missing outside. Ball 2.
And in the 23 and a third innings that he has pitched, he has left 27 runners on base. So Hopp has been able to get out of jams and duty called.
There's the pitch. Line shot in the right field. Base hit. It's rolling past the right fielder. Going around to third base is Evangelista. And on his way to second, there goes McKay Smith with a stand-up double. Well, he laced it into a short right field, and the ball began rolling toward the foul line, and Vic Vanek, the right fielder, had a long run for that ball. So what appeared to be initially a single turns out to be a double for McKay Smith.
But once again, Glenbard West with an opportunity to get some runs across the plate. They have runners on second and third and 2 outs. And here's Kurt Ostrowski.
He leads the ball club in RBIs, and he's been overdue to start coming around. He had an RBI in the last ball game they played against Hinsdale Central. So Ostrowski appears to be breaking out of that slump of his, and they could really use a good solid hit here to tie up the ball game.
Well, he came up to the plate in the first inning with runners on first and second and 1 out, and he grounded to Donovan at third. A chance for Ostrowski to redeem himself. And this is the situation you want your cleanup hitter to be in.
Here's the pitch. That one is a curveball breaking outside. Well, even though Ostrowski grounded out, he did advance both runners to second and third, so he was able to move them both into scoring position, but they were not able to score in the first. There's the 1-0 pitch. That's inside for a ball.
Ostrowski's fastball is staying down low. He doesn't want to get it up too high because Ostrowski is very strong.
Don Burns, the coach down at third, is motioning to Ostrowski just to be patient and wait for a good pitch. He took the first two for balls, and so Hop is behind in the count 2-0. And now they call timeout. Ostrowski steps out. The infield is playing him very deep.
I don't think you're going to see Hop throw that curveball because it hasn't been, it's been breaking, but it's been breaking at too high of a point for Ostrowski. If he gets it in the letters, it's probably pounded in the outfield for an extra base hit.
The 2-0 pitch, swing and a miss. He got that fastball up in his eyes, and Ostrowski went chasing after it.
Well, he got it upstairs, but this time the fastball had velocity. This curveball may be high, but it's not having that velocity and not having that solid break. So that's why you're seeing Hop going with the fastball.
There's the pitch. There's a line shot to left field. It is curving. Foul ball.
Well, Ostrowski got around on that fastball, and he drove it in left field. It was high, and Ostrowski just missed getting 2 RBIs and an extra base hit. He'll have another chance here.
That was a good pitch to hit, and Ostrowski jumped on it and got around very quickly on that pitch, but he ripped it, just fouled on the left field side.
Well, it's now even at 2-2. You're not going to see Eric Hop throw that pitch again.
Hop is just scratching his head, wondering what he did wrong on that pitch. Well, I think he's learned a lesson. He will not throw that pitch again to Ostrowski, as you say.
I think maybe he had confidence in it because the pitch previously, Ostrowski swung and missed up in the eyes. So Hop figures he might try it again, but that time Ostrowski fouled it off. So runners at second and third, 1 out for Kurt Ostrowski.
And now the catcher, Dave Thiesch, wants some time, as Eric Hop took a long time getting the sign from the catcher. I think they're just trying to get their sign straight or maybe agree on what pitch they should throw to Ostrowski here.
Well, there's a runner at second base. He might be picking up some signals from the catcher, trying to steal some signs. And over at third base, you have another base runner, and Matt Evangelista. He may be distracting Hop a bit, and he might be coming down the third baseline and maybe throw off Hop's concentration. But them being down by 2 runs, that's very unlikely.
Well, the third baseman, Donovan, is not playing close to the line, so they're not really too worried about any pickoff play. They just want to get the batter out.
But they're not going to pitch Ostrowski inside, that's for sure.
There's the pitch. Little tap over the mound. Shortstop up with it. And throwing quickly to first base in time is Dave O'Connell. Well, they threw a pitch toward the outside part of the plate, and Ostrowski just got a piece of the ball and tapped it to the shortstop. So that retires the side. They leave 2 runners stranded in scoring position. In the inning, no runs, 2 hits, 2 men left after 3 innings of play. It's Oak Park 2, Glenbard West nothing. This is Glenbard Baseball on your Group W sports station.
Superstation WTBS and America's team.
We're out to win, right off the bat.
From the hopes and dreams of spring training through the pennant race, Superstation WTBS brings you the excitement and action of Atlanta Braves baseball.
Catches some more than 150 games this year on the Superstation.
And follow the Braves as they slug it out for the National League title.
Dave Newman back here at Lambert Field, where after 3 innings of play, it's the Oak Park Huskies 2, the Glenbard West Hilltoppers nothing. Oak Park getting both of their runs in the first inning on an RBI triple by Logan Collins, and then an RBI single by the catcher Dave Thiesch. Both pitchers now seem to be cruising along after that shaky first start. You see the pitcher John McCluskey for Glenbard West. He's been doing a fine job. He has retired the last 8 men that he's faced. After giving up those 2 runs in the first, he struck out O'Connell and Jeanette to end the inning, and then he struck out one man in the second inning, mowing down the sides in the second and the third. Coming up here in the fourth, he'll be facing the middle part of the order. The 5th, 6th, and 7th hitters. Brennan Keefe will lead things off, the second baseman. And he'll be followed by Dave O'Connell, the shortstop, and John Jennett, the first baseman. There you get a look at Lambert Field. It's a beautiful day for baseball, not a cloud in the sky. Temperature about 60 degrees. But here at Lambert Field, the wind is blowing about 20 miles an hour, making things feel very, very cool. And the wind is playing havoc on a few fly balls. We saw a couple of spectacular catches out in right field. And Matt Evangelista, the right fielder for Glenbard West, made a diving grab to end the inning back in the third. And the second baseman for Oak Park made a diving tumbling catch right on the right field line to rob Mark Martello of a hit. So Brennan Keefe, second baseman, will be leading things off. He's a sophomore, singled sharply to center back in the first inning. Was left stranded, though. We're getting ready to begin inning number 4. There you get a look at the Husky right-hander, Brennan Keefe. Here's the first pitch by McCluskey. Fastball outside, missing for ball 1.
I was talking to Jason Klonowski between innings, and he was telling me that he'll be able to bat on Saturday and be able to pitch on Tuesday.
There's this pitch for a called strike. Brennan Keefe hit .350 last year as a freshman, and in a recent game got a game-winning RBI against Tinsdale Central. So he's been, as a sophomore, has been producing. There's a little tap down the first base line, and they're calling it foul.
I don't know why they called it foul, because it stayed fair territory the whole time.
Chitkowski steps on first anyway, just to make sure.
I think Glenbard West has a good argument.
Now Don Burns, the coach for Glenbard West, coming out. Now the home plate umpire may be saying that the ball hit the plate before it rolled out down the first base line.
I don't know how it hit the plate, because it hit the grass first. It hit the plate, it would have bounced straight up in the air or bounced towards the pitcher's mound.
It looks as though the ball hit the grass and kind of died, but it stayed fair. But they are calling it a foul ball.
I gotta agree with Glenbard West, because I don't think that was a foul ball.
Well, Burns is walking back to the dugout. There you see John McCluskey pacing around on the mound. Thought he had one out.
Well, if the ball is hit and it bounces backwards in front of the plate, sometimes the umpire will rule a foul ball, whether it stays in fair territory or not. I think that was his ruling. He made up one.
There's the pitch. There's a little pop-up in the infield. It drops in front of the shortstop, and he can't get to the ball. Well, Jim Elliott thought the ball was going to hang in the air, and he made an attempt for it, but it dropped and then bounced away from him, and Elliott's momentum carried him past the ball. So a leadoff infield single for Brennan Keefe starts off the fourth.
One of those Whistler base hits that the ball was not even hit solid. It just popped up lazily in the air and just dropped at some spot in the infield, in the spot where none of the infielders or the pitcher could get to it in time. And it's an unfortunate break for Glenbard West, because they already had one out in this inning. But now Oak Park's got a leadoff man on base and nobody out.
So here's Dave O'Connell, the shortstop. There's the throwback to first, as they want to keep the leadoff man Keefe close to the bag. Hope maybe to get a double play here.
And it forces your pitcher to pitch from the stretch. It forces your pitcher to throw more pitches than he has to.
O'Connell struck out swinging the last time up. There's a look and the throwback to first again. Well, McCluskey would probably want to keep his pitches low and hope to get a double play here to erase that threat. The leadoff man gets aboard on an infield single here in the fourth inning. There you see the leadoff. There's the pitch taken for a ball. O'Connell had squared away. It looked as if he was going to bunt, and then he pulled the bat back and took it for a ball. So Oak Park may be thinking about sacrificing here, getting a man into scoring position. They're up 2-0, but I'm sure Jack Kaiser would like to get a couple insurance runs.
With the good hitting that Oak Park has, I doubt they're going to try a sacrifice. They'll go with the hit and run.
There's a throwback to first. Diving in safely is Brennan Keefe.
Glenbard West doesn't want to let Oak Park get too far ahead, as Oak Park leads 2-0 here in the top half of the fourth inning, and 2 times already Glenbard West had good opportunities to get back in the ball game. They had runners on second and third and 2 outs and unable to bring them in. So they don't want to let Oak Park get too many runs.
Here's the pitch, and he faked a bunt again, but took a called strike. Well, he may just be squaring the bat away to try to get the third and first baseman to charge in, and that's just what happened. As we see the third baseman, Rick Conroy, playing right on the grass. Mike Chitkowski, the first baseman, has a tough job because there's the throwback to first. He's got to stay on the bag and make sure that he's ready because they're going to try to keep Brennan Keefe, the base runner, close to first, but he also has to be prepared in case of a bunt to charge toward the plate. There's a throwback to first, Keefe diving in safely.
Also, the hit and run, if it's executed perfectly, you'll see the runner take off for second, and the batter will swing it into right field, right where by the second base position. So with him, like you said, Dave, squaring around the bunt, it draws the first baseman in and forces the second baseman to cover first base.
There's a low throw, and taking off the second base, in with a stolen base, is Brennan Keefe. Well, we saw how they had to position their infielders. The second baseman, Ted Hartley, had to stay close to the bag, as did the shortstop.
When that situation, Ostrowski called for a pitch out because he knew sooner or later, whether a hit and run or the sacrifice was on, Brandon Keefe was going to take off for second base. But unfortunately for McCluskey, his pitch out was too low downstairs, and Ostrowski had to go out and reach that ball with a backhand stab.
Here's the pitch, squaring away the bunt, pops up the bunt, foul, out of play.
Well, and it didn't give Ostrowski a good opportunity to throw out the runner at second base.
Well, O'Connell was trying to lay it on a bunt there, but he swung at a high pitch and only got a piece of it and popped it up foul. Had he gotten more of the ball, it may have been a straight pop-up in the infield. The catcher may have had a play. So now there's a man on second, nobody out. Here's the pitch by McCluskey. Swing and a little pop-up foul down the first base side, out of play. Well, now with 2 strikes on him, O'Connell is going to be swinging away, and the infield rather, has moved back a bit. Conroy now playing off the grass, still playing about even with the bag.
Well, that call by the home plate umpire looms very big because you got that runner on second base in scoring position and nobody out.
Well, Brennan Keefe tapped a little grounder down to the first baseman. Chitkowski stepped on the base thinking it was 1 out, but the umpire called it foul. So instead of 1 out, nobody on, there's a man on second and nobody out. Here's a pitch, popped up foul, out of play to the right.
So Dave O'Connell wearing out McCluskey here, fouling off the pitches, forcing him to throw extra pitches and forcing him to look back over at second base.
Well, Brennan Keefe on second is definitely a distraction, and we see the second baseman Hartley playing close to the bag. There's a little tap, stop, knocked down by McCluskey. His only play is at first, and he throws the man out. But advancing it to third on the play is Brennan Keefe on that put out.
McCluskey, because the ball was shot back to him quickly, thought he might have a play at third base, but he elected to go to first base to get the sure out of the inning. You want to get that first out. So Opak has a runner on third base and only 1 out, and brings up John Giannetti.
Well, Brennan Keefe, rather O'Connell, hit a little tap to the mound, and McCluskey did knock the ball down, but Keefe had taken off on the pitch, and so it would have been a very close play at third. So that puts a man on third, 1 out. Here's John Giannetti, the first baseman. Swinging a high pop-up. Drifting out into short center field, running in for it, McKay Smith. And he makes the call, makes the grab on the edge of the outfield grass, and the throw down to third, but back safely is Brennan Keefe.
Well, almost a bad play there by McKay Smith. Came in charging from the center field position, came in and gloved that fly ball, and Logan Collins checked that Brennan Keefe, the base runner at third base, faked like it was going to come home on the tag-up, and McKay Smith threw over to third base. There's no reason why he should have thrown to third base because the runner was only a step away, and nobody was behind the third baseman to back it up.
And plus, his throw into third bounced into the third baseman, Conroy. So had the ball gotten away, Oak Park would have gotten a run.
You know, it's one thing in high school baseball that you see a lot of wasted throws, and coaches will tell you they like to limit their throws to only 2. 1 to a relay man, and a relay man to any of the...
Here's Eric Hopp, the pitcher, swings at the first pitch, bouncing ball down to the third baseman. Conroy juggles it. The throw to first is not in time. So Conroy boots the ball for an error, and that lets the run score from third, and it puts Eric Hopp on base because of that E5. So it was a tough play for Conroy. It was hard hit, but it was playable. He juggled it, dropped the ball, and couldn't recover in time to throw the man out.
Well, it looked like Glenbard West was going to get out of a situation they didn't want to be in because the best base runner, because of an umpire's call, got him on base, and they almost were out of the inning, but the third baseman botched the ground ball to him,
And so now Oak Park's got a runner at first base and a run in.
Well, Rick Conroy down at third is just hanging his head. Rick Conroy down at third is just hanging his head. He knows that he should have made the play, and I'm sure he feels bad about it, but that's the second unearned run of the game for Oak Park, and they've been a scrappy team all year. All 5 of their runs were unearned last week against Proviso East in a 5-2 victory. So whether they're hitting or not, Oak Park will manage to produce runs. That's the sign of a good ball club.
And the thing is, they take advantage of the other team's mistakes.
That's what they're doing here. The first pitch misses for a ball. They converted 1 error into a run in the first inning, and they have now converted this error into a run here in the 4th. They lead 3-0. So now McCluskey pitching from the stretch with a man on first. Here it is. There's a swing and a miss on a fastball by Tim Bowes. Bowes struck flat out to right field back in the 2nd.
And unfortunately, Eric Hopp was the 8th man in the lineup. The bottom part of the order did the damage.
Well, when he hit it on the ground, it looked as though they were out of the jam. There's a high pop-up behind the screen and out of play.
Almost within the reach of us.
So he's got 2 strikes on the number 9 man in the order, Tim Bowes. He would definitely like to get him out because the top of the order coming up, he'd rather have them lead off than come up with men on base. McCluskey looks down, gets the sign, ready to pitch the 0-2 to Bowes. There's a pitch out, breaking down to second base. The throw to second is in time as they catch Eric Hopp, the pitcher, trying to steal. So a good throw down second base by the catcher, Kurt Ostrowski, nails the would-be base stealer. So that retires the side. But in the inning, Oak Park gets 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 error. They left nobody on base. Going into the bottom of the 4th, it's Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing. That was a great throw by Ostrowski down to the shortstop covering. A 2-6 putout. So that'll mean they'll have the number 9 man leading off next inning rather than the top of the order, which is always helpful for a pitcher.
Well, earlier in the inning, Brenham Keith led off with the base hit, a soft line that dropped in the infield. And Ostrowski called for the pitch out then, but McCluskey's pitch was too low in the dirt, and Ostrowski had to lunge and backhand that ball. Definitely not giving it a good chance to throw out the runner going down to second base, and eventually that runner came around to score. So we move into the bottom half of the 4th inning with Oak Park leading 3-0.
Well, Kurt Ostrowski is a good athlete. He's got a very, very good arm and has an accurate throw down to second base, and we saw that, an example of that, as he caught Eric Hopp, who thought he would have a stolen base in there, but it was a close play, but they nailed him. So Glenbard West will be coming up with the middle of their order here in the 4th. It'll be the 5, 6, and 7 batters in their lineup. Mike Chitkowski, Mark Martello, and Andy Durant. In fact, Martello and Durant are the number 2 and 3 men, respectively, in RBIs on the club. So last time they came up, they batted with nobody on base. So they're hoping to get the leadoff man Chitkowski on so that their good RBI men can try to at least put men in scoring position, if not drive in somebody. Chitkowski grounded out to third back in the 1st inning. He's 0 for 1 on the day, a 300 hitter. There's the first pitch by Eric Hopp, and that one's high for a ball.
Twice already in the 1st and 3rd inning, Glenbard West had a golden opportunities to score. They had runners at 1st and 2nd, 1 out, runners at 2nd and 3rd, and 2 outs. The same situation in the 3rd inning, runners at 2nd, 3rd, and 2 outs.
There's a fastball missing inside for ball 2. Yeah, they've had the men in scoring position, but they just haven't been able to get the clutch hits to drive in the runs. They're playing Chitkowski to pull the ball, their first baseman guarding the line. There's a pitch, called strike at the knees, and hits the inside corner. John Jeanette, the first baseman, is playing over toward the line. Outfield playing him medium deep. Has a lot of room there in the right center field gap. His right fielder, Vic Vanek, playing fairly close to the line. Here's the pitch. Fouls it off out of play to the left side as he swung a little bit late on that fastball. So 2 strikes, a 2-2 count on Mike Chitkowski leading off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Oak Park on top, 3-0. Here's the 2-2 pitch. There's a curveball, misses high. So that fills the count. Well, Eric Hopp is has thrown several pitches so far. He's been working the counts full or 2-2.
Has gone to that off-speed breaking pitch. Maybe he's lost confidence in it, or
Pulls a little string on the... There's a ground ball to the first baseman. Throws to the pitcher covering for the out. Well, he took a little bit off the fastball that time, and Tchaikovsky jumped out in front of it and pulled it down the first base side, but it was right to the first baseman. So Jeanette throws him out.
sometimes this wind, the way it's blowing, is an advantage, and sometimes it could be a disadvantage to your breaking pitch. Sometimes that wind will force it to break down, but then sometimes that wind will force it to hang up there.
Well, that brings up Mark Martello. He fouled out to the second baseman back in the second. It was a diving catch by Brennan Keefe. Here's the first pitch. And he dances out of the way of that one. It was a low inside fastball. 1 out in the fourth. Oak Park enjoying a 2-0 lead. Mark Martello, his second on this ball club in runs batted in. He's got 15, but he comes up here with nobody on base. There's a fastball right down the plate, the heart of the plate, for a called strike.
Glenbard West trying to get on the scoreboard. They trail Oak Park by 3. There was that off-speed breaking pitch again. That time it didn't break at all. It was like a lob-in pitch, and I don't think Martello expected it.
That was up in his eyes, so Martello did not even go fishing for it. So now it's a 1-2 count. Well, they worked the count full to the first batter. Now he's ahead 1-2 on Martello. There's a fastball pulled down on one hop to the first baseman, and making the unassisted put out is John Jeanette. So they have forced the first two batters to ground out to the first baseman. Only 3 hits in the ballgame for Glenbard West. They got 1 hit in the first and 2 hits in the third, and in both of those innings they left 2 men stranded. Eric Hopp retired the side in the second, and so far he's gotten the first 2 men out here in the fourth. Here's Andy Durant, struck out swinging back in the second inning. There's a curveball, hits the outside corner for a called strike.
That was more like a hard curveball. It had a little velocity on it.
It didn't break as much. It just dropped only a couple inches, but it did hit the strike zone. So here's the pitch. He goes with that curveball again, and that one drops in the dirt for ball 2. Make that 1-1.
Hopp 4-0 on the year, 1 save, has an ERA of 1.20. Has pitched 23 in the third inning, and you gave the stat earlier, has left 27 men left on the bases. So far, he has left 4 in this ballgame.
Well, he's given up his share of hits, but he has the composure that it doesn't rattle him, and he's been able to get out of those jams. And he's done that twice today. Men in scoring position in the first. They had 2 men in scoring position in the third, and Hopp retired him. There's a bunt right to the mound. Eric Hopp fields it, and the throw to first is in time. So 3 up and 3 down as Eric Hopp gets all 3 batters to ground out in the infield. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. After 4 innings of play, it's Oak Park 3 and Glenbard West nothing. This is Glenbard Baseball on your Group W sports station.
Turn it on.
Constantino here in the Great White North, as things are a little bit on the chilly side out here. At game time, it was 60 degrees here at Lambert Field, but we've got a 20-mile-an-hour wind that is really cooling things off. And they have cooled off the Glenbard West team so far. It's 3-0 Oak Park on top, starting off the top of the 5th inning. Glenbard West has threatened. They got runners on second and third in the first inning, and they had 2 men in scoring position in the third. But Oak Park was able to get out of those jams and not allow a run.
Oak Park 17-1 coming into this ballgame, ranked number 1 in the state, and like a number 1 ranked team, takes advantage of the other team's mistakes as they have scored only 1 earned run of the 3 they have put across the plate. And in the first inning, the leadoff batter reached down an error, and in the third inning, where they got
Here's the
third
pitch.
run.
Here's Tim Bowes leading things off. Swings and misses on an inside fastball. That one was right on his fist. Swung and missed, and he fell down.
And in the third inning, an error by the third baseman brought in the third run. Kluski still has the pop on his pitches, and he's not tiring.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Tim Bowes. There he takes a fastball low for a ball. Oak Park with 3 runs on 4 hits. Glenbard West, no runs on 3 hits. John McCluskey started this ball game, and as you say, he's still throwing with some velocity. Has pitched 4 innings so far.
Ball's the 9th man in the lineup.
There's the 1-1 pitch. Little tap just over the mound, into cut off by the second baseman Hartley. The throw to first in time. Well, Tim Hartley had to go far to his right in the hole, but he stayed with the ball, gloved it, and threw quickly to first to get the runner Tim Bowes. That ball looked for a moment like it was going to go up the middle for a single.
And McCluskey, coming off the mound with his forward motion, took him to the left of the mound, to his left, and that forced the ball to go right up over the pitcher's mound, and it looked like it was going into center field. And like you said, Dave, Ted Hartley made a good play coming over to his right, backhanding glove, and throwing out the base runner.
Here's Vic Vanek swinging at the first pitch, popping it up to the infield, drifting in foul territory, and Mike Chitkowski, the first baseman, makes the play. Well, that wind carried the ball into foul territory, but Mike Chitkowski had a bead on it, hung in there, and made the catch. So quickly, there's 2 up and 2 down in the 5th inning.
Here's Logan Collins. He's the man that, the only player really that's been hitting the ball hard off McCluskey. Collins got a triple that drove in the first run of the ball game, and then he flied deep to right field, but Evangelista was able to play this one and glove it in for the out.
And he takes the first pitch for a called strike. As you said, it was a line shot triple to right field over the head of Evangelista. That was back in the 1st. And then he hit a deep drive in the 3rd inning out to the same area. So now he's got 1 strike on him here in the 5th. Takes another pitch inside at the knees for a ball. 1-1 is the count.
Just like the last game that was shown here on Group W Cable Sports, a 2-1 victory by Glenbard South. Something similar. Good pitching.
Yep, and he takes that pitch outside for a ball. Logan Collins has had a very hot bat lately. Last summer he batted .310. Right now he's hitting well into 300s. Had 2 hits against Proviso West in a conference game and is homered and has had several multiple hits games in the conference season. There's a deep drive to left center field. Running hard is McKay Smith, and it drops in the gap for extra bases. Rounding first, on his way to second is Logan Collins, and he pulls in with a stand-up double. Now he trips over the base and has to get back, but the throw is not in time.
Well, Collins knew he had a stand-up double, and when he came over the bag, he tried to put on the brakes a little bit too quickly and just tripped and fell down. But he got the job accomplished. He got on base in scoring position with 2 outs. And here's Jim Donovan, the number 3 man in the lineup.
Donovan, the 3rd baseman, has hit the ball sharply, but right at the fielders. He hit a drive to left field that was caught, hit a solid ground ball to the shortstop back in the 3rd, so he's 0 for 2 on the day. Man on second. There's 2 gone here in the 5th inning. There's the first pitch, swung on and fouled back out of play to the left.
Donovan, a left-handed batter in the box right now against the right-handed McCluskey. Donovan, one of the few players in high school baseball that you'll see go switch hitting. Donovan has the stats to prove that he could do it, coming into the ball game batting at .385.
There's the pitch by McCluskey, and Donovan takes a ball outside. Had a notion to swing at it, but he watched it drift to the outside part of the plate. So it's a 1-1 count. 1 man on, there's 2 outs. There you get a view of the infield. McCluskey gets the sign. Here's the pitch. There's a drive to right center field, and moving over for it is McKay Smith, and he is there in position to make the catch. So that retires the side, and John McCluskey gets out of a jam. There were no runs on 1 hit, and they leave a man stranded at second. Going into the bottom of the 5th inning, it's still Oak Park 3 and Glenbard West nothing. So Oak Park now has left 3 base runners stranded through 5 innings. They left 2 men on in the 1st, and then McCluskey retired the side in order in the 2nd, in the 3rd, and they left nobody stranded on the 4th, left a man stranded in the 5th.
In case you just joined us, it's 3-0 Oak Park. Oak Park getting 2 runs in the 1st inning as Vic Vanek reached on an error by Ted Hartley as he dropped the pop fly ball, and then Logan Collins tripled him home to bring home their first run, and then Dave Thies came up with an RBI single to drive in Logan Collins. Glenbard West had a chance to get back. They had runners on 1st and 2nd, 1 out, but Ostrowski grounded out to 3rd. It moved runners to 2nd and 3rd, and then Mike Chitkowski grounded out to Donovan again, and that ended their threat in their 1st inning. And then in the 3rd, Glenbard West once again had a chance to score. They had runners on second and third and 2 outs, and Kurt Ostrowski grounded out to the shortstop. And then, in a freaky kind of run, came across the plate for Oak Park in the 4th inning. Brendan Keith led off with a base hit, but it was like a soft line pop fly ball. It just landed in front of everybody. But before that, he had a ground ball down the first base line. Third baseman was up with it, but the umpire ruled a foul ball. Anyway,
so here, leading off here in the bottom of the 5th, Jim Elliott, the shortstop, was called out on strikes back in the 2nd inning. Here's the first pitch to Elliott, takes it for a ball.
And then Keith eventually came in to score. He was left at third base in 2 outs, but a ground ball was botched by Rick Conroy, and that gave him home. And that's where we stand right now, 3-0 in favor of Oak Park. How you doing?
So here's the pitch. Takes it for a called strike at the knees. So now it's a 1-2 count on Jim Elliott, the shortstop, batting 184 on the year. He's been in a slump lately in this conference season. Infield playing him deep. Here's the pitch. There's a bouncing ball out to the third baseman. Pass Donovan into left field for a base hit. Jim Donovan, the left fielder, was moving to his left, and his mitt was above the ground, and the ball just skipped under the glove in there for a base hit. So Jim Elliott breaks out of that slump a little bit, gets a single to lead off things in the 5th. And that'll bring up the number 9 man in the order, Rick Conroy, the third baseman. So Glenbard West, for the first time in the ball game, gets the leadoff man aboard. Conroy grounded out to second base back in the 3rd inning. There's the throw to first, and the runner back safely. Jim Elliott hopes to start a rally here. We're late in the ball game. We're in the 5th, and Oak Park leads 3-0. Here's the pitch. Swung on and popped up behind the plate. The catcher, Thies, moving back for it. He's got a play, and he drops the ball. It was in and out of his glove. He was looking to make sure to see how far away from the screen he was. He was up against the screen and dropped the ball. So an error on the catcher. So Rick Conroy stays alive. That's the 2nd error of the ball game by Oak Park. Each team now with 2 errors.
These just ran out of real estate. If the fence was maybe about 6 inches more, he probably would have been able to glove that pop foul.
So here's the pitch. There's a swing, line drive into center field for a base hit. So that puts men on first and second. Now that error has come back to haunt Oak Park. As there's 2 runners on, there's nobody out. The top of the order is up. And Ted Hartley, the second baseman, steps in.
Well, Glenbard West has been able to do the job setting the tables for their hitters to put runners on the base pads, but their problem today so far has not been able to bring them in when they have the good opportunity. When it arises, they have runners on first and second, nobody out to lead off the 4th, 5th inning. And you got the top of the order up. Here's the perfect opportunity for Glenbard West to get back in this ballgame as they trail Oak Park by 3 runs.
Well, Oak Park now has a little conference on the mound between the third baseman Donovan, the catcher Thies, and the pitcher Eric Hopp. Hartley has been on a hot streak lately. He has been involved in the winning run in 3 of the last 5 ball games. He drove in 2 runs against Proviso East, had a game-winning RBI recently against Hinsdale Central, has stolen bases in 2 of his last 4 games. He's been a very active man out there offensively. So Hartley steps in with nobody out, men on first and second. A good scoring opportunity here for Glenbard West. Swings and fouls off the first pitch. Back to the screen. Hartley 0 for 2 on the day. Grounded out in the 1st inning, and then he flied out to right field back in the 3rd.
Hartley with a chance.
Elliott, the base runner at 2nd. Conroy, the base runner at 1st. Both singled here in the 5th. Squares away to bunt. Pops up the bunt in the infield. It is caught by the pitcher, Eric Hopp, but both runners get back safely. While Hartley was trying to sacrifice, but he popped up the bunt, and so that's a tough break for Glenbard West, and now there's 1 out with men on first and second.
Well, Eric Hopp got a break as it was a high-breaking curveball. That pitch again, and just hangs up there high. And with that high pitch, with Hartley squared around the bunt, with the bat holding it out, it forced the ball to go up in the air instead of butting it down, putting it on the ground. So Oak Park's got 1 out with runners on first and second.
Here's Matt Evangelista, the right fielder, 2 for 2 on the day, singled in the 1st and in the 3rd. There he takes the first pitch high for ball 1.
Eric Hopp coming up high on the last 3 pitches.
And Dave Thies, the catcher, is motioning to him, get the ball low into the strike zone.
And Dave Evangelista's 2 for 2, and all those base hits have been solid rips.
Evangelista digs in. Here's the pitch to the left-hander. Line shot to center field, base hit. Rounding third is Hartley, but Don Burns holds him up wisely as the throw was a bullet right into the plate. And had Elliott continued, he would have been out at home. So a solid single by Evangelista to short center field loads the bases with only one out here in the 5th inning. And now Oak Park is in a jam as the potential tying run is at first and the lead run is at the plate in the person of McKay Smith. And he doubled to right field his last time up. So Smith has been a base runner twice, reached on an error in the first, doubled in the third, and McKay Smith is probably the hottest hitter on this ball club. He has 6 hits in his last 12 at-bats. So McKay Smith has a good chance here to drive in at least 2 with a single. Infield playing in. Outfield playing medium deep. Glenbard West fans yell it up here. There's a ground ball to the second baseman. Throw to short for 1. The relay is in time for the double play. The throw was a little bit high, but John Jeanette was not pulled off the bag. So an inning-ending double play, 4-6-3, and that retires the side here in the 5th. So there's no runs on 3 hits. Glenbard West, after loading the bases, leaves 2 men stranded. They do not get a run out of that 5th inning. So at the end of 5, it's Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing. This is Glenbard Baseball on your Group W sports station.
The Weather Channel, weatherproofing America, covering the nation and your neighborhood with Outlook. Twice every hour, a collection of forecasts give you a comprehensive look at weather conditions headed your way. Your Weather Channel forecast, local weather from coast to coast, an extended forecast for the next few days or the weekend, special reports on unusual weather situations, and expanded local forecasts. Outlook, twice every hour, your chance to get an advanced look at the weather coming your way. We're weatherproofing America, only on the Weather Channel.
Dave Newman back along with Mike Cosentino. We get ready to start the 6th inning. And Mike, you'll take things over here for the last 2 and see what happens in this pitching duel.
So once again, Dave, Glenbard West had the opportunity to get some runs across the play as they trail Oak Park 3-0 in the 1st inning. They had runners on 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. In the 3rd inning, runners at 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. And here they had the bases loaded and 1 out. And like any good ball clubs, they come up with the opportunity. Oak Park did, and they came up with the double play to end the inning with no runs coming across the plate.
Well, it's been good pitching on both sides, but Glenbard West had what was their best scoring chance. They had men on 1st and 2nd, nobody out, and Hartley tried a sacrifice bunt to move men into scoring position. Instead, he popped the bunt up, and it was caught by the pitcher, Eric Hopp. And then Evangelista singled to load the bases, but as you said, McKay Smith with that double play, and that put a damper on that rally by Glenbard West.
What hurts the most is when you had that opportunity with runners on 2nd and 3rd, you had the 3, 4, 5 hitters up, and those are the meat of your order to come through for you with the RBI hits. So we move to the top half of the 6th inning, and it will be Dave Thies, Brenham Keefe, Dave O'Connell, the 4, 5, 6 batters in the Oak Park lineup, facing John McCluskey, who's still on the mound, and talk about a hard luck pitching game he's doing it today. He's only given up 1 earned run. First pitch is straight down the middle for a strike.
Well, that's the difference in this ball game, and that's why Oak Park is in front. They have taken advantages of errors by Glenbard West, scoring 2 unearned runs.
Pitch on the outside corner, in there for a strike, so now quickly McCluskey's ahead, 0-2.
McCluskey is showing good confidence, good concentration. He's not letting that 3-run deficit bother him. He's throwing strikes.
There's a ground ball up the middle. Second baseman Hartley up with it over the first, and there's the 1 out of the inning.
Well, sometimes when you play a good team, as they're playing the #1 ranked Oak Park Huskies, that brings out the best in your players because they want to show they can compete and they don't want to be shown up. And there's always that desire to beat #1, to come out and do your best and try to upset the top-ranked team.
Here's Brennan Keith, the sophomore second baseman. Hartley, on that ground ball by Dave Thies, had to do the same thing that he did in the last inning. And Keefe swings at the first pitch, a fly ball to center. And McKay Smith's under it to record a 2nd out of the inning.
McCluskey has not had to throw all that many pitches. He's been getting Oak Park hitters to swing at the 1st or 2nd pitch many times, whereas Eric Hopp has been working the count full or has been throwing a lot of pitches to most of the batters. So that's probably why McCluskey his fastball has so much zip on it this late in the ball game.
Old Park's a good hitting ball club, and don't expect them to wait around about the 4th or 5th pitches to get their pitch. They're going to swing them around the 2nd and 3rd pitch to get something going. They want to make things happen. But what I was mentioning before was Hartley twice so far in the last 2 innings had to go to his right and came up with 2 good putouts. So here's Dave O'Connell with 2 outs here in the top half of the 6th inning. Oak Park leads 3-0. There's a pitch. He swings a fly ball to center field. McKay Smith's got a beam on it. He's under it, and he gloves it for the final out of the inning. So in the inning, very quickly, very snappy, 1-2-3 goes Oak Park. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. So we move to the bottom half of the 6th inning. The score still remains Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing.
Well, Oak Park is making contact, as you mentioned. They're going after the first couple pitches. They're aggressive hitters out there, and consequently, McCluskey has been able to throw a few pitches. He has been able to retire the side in the order 3 different innings, 3 out of 6. He's only given up 5 hits through 6 innings, 2 unearned runs, 1 earned run.
So we move to the bottom of the 6th inning, and Hop, if there's going to be any damage done to him, will have to be in this inning. You have the 4, 5, 6 batters up. And for Glenbard West's sake, this is the confidence bill where you have to have these batters come in and hit the ball.
Glenbard West would like to get at least 1 and possibly even 2 runs here in the 6th inning so they don't have to go into their last 3 outs trailing by 3 runs. It would give their players more confidence to know they can score off this team. And then if they were only down by 1 run in the 7th, it would give them confidence that maybe they could come back and catch up and win this ball game.
Well, like you mentioned before, Dave, Eric Hobbs been throwing a lot of 3-2 pitches. So he may be tiring. As I noticed, he has been going to that off-speed breaking curveball. Maybe it's taken a lot out of his arm. Maybe his arm is starting to hurt. But he's been lying on his fastball. I mean, he's been keeping it low. But his fastball is not a fastball like a Jason Klinowski or one that's going to go about 89, 87 miles per hour. So here's Kurt Ostrowski up. He swings at the first pitch, a line drive into left field, and quickly under it is the left fielder, Logan Collins.
Ostrowski has gotten good wood on the ball the last 2 times up. He ripped a solid shot foul, however, in the 3rd inning, and there was a solid line drive to left field, and this one stayed fair, and Collins made the catch.
Back in the earlier inning, like you mentioned, if that hit would have landed fair, that would have been the 2 runs Glenbard West needed. So now we have 1 out in the top half of the 6th inning, and here's Mike Tchaikovsky. He's 0 for 2 on the day, and he swings at the first pitch, a fly ball right over to second baseman. Brennan Keefe calls for it, and he gloves it in for the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, Brennan Keefe was having some trouble because the sun was in his eyes, and I don't believe he has sunglasses on out there, so that had to play a little trouble with him.
I don't know why. It hasn't been overcast. It's been sunny all day.
There's not a cloud in the sky here, and the sun is starting to set out in the west, and that means it's going to be double trouble for the right fielder and the second baseman. Not only do they have the wind, but the sun now in their eyes.
So the first pitch to Mark Mettello, the 6th man in the lineup for Glenbard West, is in there for a strike. 2 outs. Bottom half of the 6th inning. If you notice on your screen, you start to see the long shadows coming out. There's an off-speed breaking pitch, a foul ball behind the screen and landing just to the side of us. And there's our Group W sports truck.
Mark Martello, as we said earlier, is the 2nd leading man in RBIs on this ball club. And he's a good clutch hitter with men on base, but he's batted so far today with nobody on.
The off-speed curveball, he swings at it, and a fly ball to left field. Logan Collins coming in, and he gloves it to retire Glenbard West in the 6th inning. So just like Oak Park in their half of the 6th inning, 1, 2, 3, very quick. They go down. So at the end of 6 innings of play, it's still Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing. Let's take time out on your Group W cable sports station.
I'm Don Imus at the VH1 studio. 3.5 years ago, MTV hit the air to revolutionize television for rock and roll fans. Today, there's VH1, Video Hits 1. It's the one with a different style of music. Just look at what you're going to be getting when VH1 arrives. You'll get VH one-on-one interviews, one every hour.
What I would like to be able to sound like if I could.
People news, contests, more of the songs you like, all day, every day, and it's available in stereo. Plus,
Boss. John Bauman here on VH1.
Hi, Frankie Crocker here with you on VH1 Video Hits 1.
I'm Scott Shannon right here in the Nut Hut.
And me, Don Imus.
VH1.
Huh?
Mike Costantino back here at Glenbard Field with Dave Newman and the rest of the Group W sports staff as Oak Park leads Glenbard West 3-0 as we move to the top half of the 7th inning. And Dave, it's been a matter of Oak Park capitalizing on the opportunities that's been given to them by Glenbard West, taking advantage of their mistakes, and Glenbard West not able to overcome any mistakes by Oak Park.
Well, that's right. Oak Park has 2 unearned runs today. 2 of their 3 have been unearned. They capitalized on 2 Glenbard West errors and produced 2 runs from those. And that's really been the difference in this ball game.
So it'll be John Jeanette, Eric Kopp, Tim Boss, the 7th, 8th, 9th batters that will be facing McCluskey here in the 7th inning. The bottom half of the order. So McCluskey pitching a good ball game as a pair of 13s facing each other. Number 13 McCluskey on the mound for Glenbard West and number 13 John Jeanette. It's a shame it ain't Friday.
That's true. Friday the 13th, not exactly. Well, if it were Friday the 13th, I think it would be an overcast day.
McCluskey's pitch from the side, a line drive right at the third baseman, Rick Conroy. He gloves it for the first out of the inning. An off-speed, somewhat of a slider, and Jeanette knew it. He just ripped into it, line drive right by the third baseman. Conroy was Johnny on the spot, put his glove up, and snared that hard shot line drive. So 1 out in the inning, and here's Eric, as we have a pinch hitter now for Eric Kopp.
Chris Cook.
Chris Cook, pinch hitter, is up. Cook, who's batting at .571, has only had 7 at-bats, has 4 hits. So he swings at the first pitch, a foul ball over by the third base side. It'll land foul.
Well, as you mentioned, he chased the first pitch, which has been the trait of most of the Oak Park hitters today, and he got out a little bit late on that fastball.
So Eric Kopp we'll see whether he's done for today. And Croc swings a fly ball to right field, a diving catch by Evangelista, but he comes up short as he trapped the ball. So Chris Cook is safely on first base with 1 out.
Well, it was a low line drive, and Evangelista dived for it, but he trapped the ball. So a leadoff single, make that a single with 1 out.
Evangelista early in the ballgame came up with a diving snare of a ball in foul territory. Just couldn't come up with the play this time.
He's an aggressive fielder.
So here's Tim Boss with 1 out, the man on first. He swings at the first pitch, fouls it off behind the screen. And if you notice, Eric Kopp was taken off for second base.
Well, they had the hit and run on.
Even though Oak Park's got 3 runs, they don't quit. Nothing's too safe.
That's another mark of a good team. They keep battling in the late innings, and they don't sit on a lead.
Well, the last time we broadcast Glenbard West, Dave, you'll recall, Glenbard West had a 9-0 lead, and Proviso West was able to come back and make it a close ball game.
That's right. It was a 1-run game.
Pitch out is outside. A throw to first base is not in time, as Ostrowski called for the pitch out, and this throw over to first base was high. It pulled the first baseman off the bag and forced Eric Kopp to slide back in there safely. As Tchaikovsky.
That was a smart call by Kurt Ostrowski as he called for that pitch out, but they may have tipped their hand a bit too soon, and so Cook did not stray too far from the first base bag.
Good catch by Tchaikovsky at first. A swing and a miss for a strike. Mentioned to say, Tchaikovsky did a fine job of snaring that throw by Ostrowski. It was way up high. So 1-1 to count to Tim Boss. And like we mentioned before, you hate to have the bottom half of the order get on base. Give you all sorts of fits. Runner on, 1 out. Throw over to first base. And Hop is back there in time. Dick Trout, the first base coach for Oak Park. Check that. The runner over at first base is Chris Cook. He pinch hit it for Eric Kopp. slow-breaking curveball is fouled off by Tim Boss.
Well, they're showing the hit and run. Cook takes a big lead off first base, takes a few steps on the pitch, and then stops and waits to make sure that the ball is not hit in the air, either a pop-up or a line drive. Does not want to get doubled off the first base bag.
Well, if you hear a lot of coaches when there's a runner on base with under 2 outs, they always say, let it through, let it through. And that's what, and you gave a good explanation why, what they mean by let it through. There's a swing and a miss for a strike 3. So McCluskey comes up with a strikeout. It's his 4th of the ball game. He had 3 in a row. He got the final 2 outs in the first inning, and the leadoff batter in the second inning struck out. So he has 4. Now there's 2 outs and a man on first. We move to the top of the order, and Vic Vanek. Vanek 0 for 3 on the day. Throw over to first base. Cook's back there safely. Vanek reached on an error in the first inning, and he came around to score the first run of the ball game on a triple by Logan Collins. And so far, that's been all what Oak Park has needed as they lead 3-0 here in the top half of the 7th inning with a runner on first base and 2 outs.
McCluskey has struck out 6 batters in his last 11 innings pitched over the span of 3 games.
Pitch to Vanek. There's a runner down to second base. Ostrowski's throw is way off target. And Cook is in there safely with 2 outs.
Well, we saw a good defensive play by the shortstop, Jim Elliott. As the throw was drifting off the mark, Elliott had to dive back to his left and make a stab at the ball. He did catch it. Otherwise, that would have been into center field, and Cook may have had a chance to go all the way to third.
Some coaches will call that not a great play. They'll call it an escape play, because if it was a good play, they would have thrown a runner out at second base.
Well, it was not a good throw, but yet it was a good recovery by the shortstop, not letting that go into center field.
Talk to some baseball coaches, they're very cynical sometimes. There's a pitch outside, inside, and Ostrowski had to get off his perch in order to glove that ball before it went behind the screen for a wild pitch. That maybe would have forced Cook to go over to third base. And Cook stays at second base with 2 outs in scoring position for Vic Vanek. Oak Park leads 3-0, top half of the 7th inning. The pitch, a ground ball up the middle. Shortstop coming over. The throw over to first base. And Oak Park is retired here in the 7th inning. So in the inning, no runs, 1 hit, 1 man left stranded. So we move to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Glenbard West down to the final 3 outs. The score, Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing.
Well, Oak Park threatened again there in the 7th inning. Got a man aboard. He stole second. And they were showing signs of the hit and run, but with the man in scoring position, John McCluskey, who has gone the distance, really had to bear down. He has not given up a run since the 4th, and that was an unearned run. The last earned run that he gave up was in the 1st inning.
Well, the line scores for Oak Park reads this way: 3 runs on 6 hits, 2 errors, and 4 men left on the bases. Glenbard West, going into the bottom half of the 7th inning, have no runs on 6 hits, have committed 2 errors, and have left, amazingly, 7 men on base. So when you leave 7 men on base in 6 innings, that means the base runner has been on base in each inning, and you just haven't been able to get that clutch hit to bring him home. So Hop, who is still on the mound, as in high school baseball, they have the re-entry rule, as Chris Cook pinch hit for him in the 6th inning, and Eric Hop is still on the mound, seeking a complete game. Hop had an easy 6th inning, 1-2-3, and it was very quick, as you got Ostrowski to line out to left field, you got Chikowski to pop up to the catcher, and then Martello flied out to left. So he'll be facing Andy Dahlran, Jim Elliott, and Rick Conroy, the 7th, 8th, and 9th batters in the lineup for Glenbard West. So Hop from the windup, his first pitch is down the middle for a strike.
Well, there we saw him go with a fastball to the outside part of the plate. And you know Eric Hop has to be pumped up here in the last inning, sensing a victory. He's 4-0 on the year, looking for number 5.
The pitch outside for a ball.
Durant 0 for 2 on the day, struck out swinging back in the 2nd, and he tapped out to the pitcher back in the 4th. Looking for his first hit of the ball game.
There's a pitch, a swing, a fly ball to left center field. It's going to fall in for a base hit. So Glenbard West will have a runner on base with nobody out.
That's only the 2nd time today that they have gotten the leadoff man on base. They did that back in the 5th inning. They loaded the bases with only 1 out, but Oak Park got an inning-ending double play to stop that rally in the 5th.
And the man that led off that 5th inning, like you mentioned, Dave, was Jim Elliott, and he comes up the plate now with a runner on base.
Well, Elliott had been slumping, but he's 1 for 2 on the day. Ripped a solid base hit to left field back in the 5th inning.
Elliott struck out in the 2nd, and like you mentioned, got that base hit in the 5th. He swings and misses for strike 1. Hop, who very modest about himself, will say he's not as good as Konowski or Nelson, and he struggles on the mound, trying to make himself just as good, and he credits his defense.
Well, Hop showed a good fastball that Elliott swung on and missed.
The 0-1 pitch, runner at first base, nobody out, bottom half of the 7th inning. Overhand curveball, just misses for a ball, 2-0. Check that 1-1. Glenbard West with a chance to get back in this ball game. They trail Oak Park 3-0. The pitch, upstairs for a ball.
Well, that was a fastball just to back him away from the plate. Got it out underneath his chin. So once again, he's behind in the account to Jim Elliott, 2-1.
The pitch, overhand curveball again, a swing and a fly ball, somewhat of a pop-up near on the infield grass, and O'Connell is under it. They record the first out of the inning.
Well, Eric Hop was keeping the ball high, and he got Elliott to swing at a very high pitch and popped it up, and that's what you want to do in a situation like this. And now he's got 1 out, and now he'll be trying to get Conroy to ground into a possible double play. He'll try to keep the ball low.
I don't think Eric Hop's going to be too happy having that ball stay up, but he's getting the batters out.
Yep.
That's the main thing, is get those batters out. So 1 out, the man on first, and here's Rick Conroy, the 9th man up. He swings at the first pitch, a base hit into center field, and Durant will hold up at second base.
Well, that's what Conroy did the last time up in the 5th inning. We remember he popped one up behind the plate, and the catcher, Thies, ran back to the screen, caught the ball, then dropped it for an error. And on the very next pitch, Rick Conroy ripped a single to center, and he does it again here in the 7th.
So runners at first and second, 1 out, bottom half of the 7th inning. Glenbard West down to their final 2 outs. They have runners on first and second, like we mentioned. Donnan at second, Conroy at first, and the batter, Ted Hartley, the leadoff man in Don Burns' lineup. The score is Oak Park 3, Glenbard West nothing. The first pitch, and Hartley swings a chopper to third base. Donovan up with it. The long throw over to first base goes by the first baseman's glove. It goes in the out-of-bounds territory. A run will come across the plate. Burns is waving home Conroy. Conroy will cross the plate, and the officials finally rule the ball is out of play. So a chopping ground ball to Jim Donovan. He overthrew the first baseman. John Jeanette tapped off his glove and went rolling towards the out-of-bounds line. And the ball was still in play, and that allowed the 2 Glenbard West base runners to come on home. As Donnan crosses the plate, but wait a minute, I think they're going to wave Rick Conroy back to third base.
Well, what happened was it was an error on the throw, so they're going to award him just 1 extra base on that throwing error. So only 1 run is going to score. And there's going to be men on second and third with 1 out here in the 7th. Well, what happened, it was a bouncing ball to Donovan, and he hurried his throw to first base. It was high off the mark. It pulled the first baseman, Jeanette, off the bag. And then there was a collision between the base runner, Hartley, and Jeanette, the first baseman. And Jeanette, wearing glasses, it jarred the glasses off his face, and it threw off his vision. So he was jostled there, was in no position to recover and make the play.
So West with runners on second and third with a tying run at the plate. Mac Evangelista. Pitch is inside for a ball. Check that Evangelista, as he stands in the batter's box, is the winning run, as the tying run is over at second base, and Ted Hartley. 3-1 in favor of Oak Park, bottom half of the 7th inning. And Evangelista fouls this pitch off towards the left field line. Nobody will reach to it. So count is even at 1-1. 1 run in here, and Andy Dawn, who reached on a base hit, reached second on a base hit by Conroy. Then he came home on a throwing error by Jim Donovan, the third baseman for Oak Park. 1-1 to count to Matt Evangelista. Runners at second and third, 1 out. 3-1 in favor of Oak Park. The pitch from Eric Kopp. Overhand curveball, just misses upstairs for a ball. 2-1 to count.
Hop is really in a jam here. He knows that Oak Park will not have any more at-bats.
And I don't want to jinx Evangelista, but he's 3 for 3 on the day. The pitch, he swings a face hit down the left field line. Here comes Conroy in to score. Hartley rounding third, he's going to come in to score. And Evangelista 4 for 4 on the day, drives in the tying runs, and he stands at second base with an RBI, with a 2-run RBI double.
Well, Matt Evangelista has turned out to be the hero of the game so far. With their backs against the wall, Oak Park, Glenbard West has tied up this ball game in the bottom of the 7th inning. And now they have McKay Smith coming up, who is probably their most highly touted player. And in fact, they've got a scout from Georgia here looking at Smith. He is probably the best athlete on this ball club. If there's anybody you want to come up in this situation, it's McKay Smith.
Well, Evangelista was the guy that got into time runs, and he was 3 for 3 on the day, so you know he was having a hot bat, and he was hotter than ever when he drive that ball down the left field line. And he brought in Conroy and Hartley.
And now Jack Kaiser is out on the mound having a talk with his pitcher, and they're going to leave Eric Hop in. They're intentionally walking McKay Smith.
So McKay Smith will go over to first base to get the force at third base. In high school baseball, you don't have to throw the 4 pitches to constitute an intentional walk, but he just raised the runner over to first base. So now runners at first and second, only 1 out here, and here's Kurt Ostrowski. Ostrowski's 0 for 3 on the day. He came into the ball game batting .386.
But he has hit the ball solidly his last 2 times up.
He hit a line drive shot into left field, and Collins was on the spot to snare that one. And then in the 5th inning, with the bases loaded, he hit one down the left field line, but just slanted foul. And then so now runners on first and second, 1 out, bottom half the 7th inning, we're all tied up 3-3. Ostrowski takes the pitch high upstairs for a ball.
That one missed inside, and Ostrowski quickly glanced at the umpire to make sure that he called it a ball.
Well, this would be an upset if Glenbard West could pull it off. So far in your last 2 Glenbard baseball broadcasts, Glenbard South came up with a victory.
Well, you know, Oak Park last year lost only 2 games in the conference, and they both were to Glenbard West.
Here's a pitch upstairs for ball 2, 2-0. Hop behind the count to Kurt Ostrowski. Evangelista at second. McKay Smith at first. 3-3, bottom of the 7th. The 2-0 pitch from Eric Hop. Overhand fastball, swing, a fly ball into center field. Center fielder going back, and he's under it. Gloves the ball, and he quickly throws it in, and the runners hold.
That was a good ride that Ostrowski gave the ball. It went to deep center field, but we saw an example of the strong arm of Tim Bowes. He's got a good arm and good speed out there. And the man perched on second base right now, Matt Evangelista, did not want to challenge him.
Well, here's Mike Chakowski. He has an opportunity to have everybody go home for an early dinner.
Well, Chakowski's been in a slump as of late. He's 0 for 3 today. Has been struggling in his last couple ball games. This would be a good chance for him to break out of that slump.
He has runners on first and second. Now there's 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. 3-3. He swings at the first pitch. A soft looping liner is going to fall in there for a base hit. And with that soft liner, O'Connell, the shortstop, doesn't have a chance to throw anybody out at either base. So now Glenbard West has the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Well, Mike Chakowski just got a piece of the ball, and he blooped it just over the pitcher's head. The infield was playing deep. And it was a long run for the shortstop, Dave O'Connell, and by the time he got to the ball, there was no chance to make any play.
Now, I'm surprised the infield wasn't in because they walked Ostrowski intentionally to get the force at third or second base, and usually when you want to get the force play at any of the bases, you bring that infield in for a chance of the double play. But the infield was playing back, and Chakowski just dropped it just beyond the mound and running right in front of second base for a base hit.
We're going to have a pinch runner, Bob Higgins. He's going to run for Chakowski at first.
So Evangelista's at third base, McKay Smith at second, and Robert Higgins at first base. The base runners for Glenbard West. As we're in the bottom half of the 7th inning, we're all tied up 3-3. Glenbard West getting all 3 runs here in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Well, really, the only run that matters here is the man on third base, Matt Evangelista. He is the winning run.
And stepping into the box is Mark Martello. He is 0 for 3 on the day. Popped up to second, grounded to first base, and then flied out to left field. Eric Hopp still on the mound. Going into this inning, he gave him up no runs, gave up 6 hits. He's struggling here in the 7th. First pitch from Hopp. He swings a base ground ball over to second, and Ocano bobbles the ball, goes through his legs into the outfield, and Glenbard West is going to win this ball game as Evangelista crosses the plate, and Glenbard West has pulled up the big surprise of the day, a 4-3 victory over the #1 ranked team in the state of Illinois, the Oak Park Huskies. Martello swung at the first pitch, a ground ball through the middle. O'Connell seemed to have gloved it, but it escaped underneath his legs and into the outfield. Evangelista comes around to score the winning run for Glenbard West, and the final score once again is Glenbard West 4, Oak Park 3.
Well, Mike, how would you give the shortstop O'Connell?
You had to give O'Connell the error because he had the glove on the ball, went right through his legs. He slipped and fell down, and it wasn't a hard shot ground ball at all. So an unearned run crosses the plate. So an error by O'Connell.
That's the first conference loss of the season for the Oak Park Huskies, and that is a big shock to them. But Glenbard West swept Oak Park last year. They beat them 2 games, and now they run their winning streak to 3.
So in that inning, Glenbard West with 4 runs on 4 hits. There was 2 errors, and 2 men left. As the final score, once again, Glenbard West 4, Oak Park 3. Here's the line scores very quickly. Oak Park, they had 3 runs on 6 hits, make that 4 errors, and 4 men left on the bases.